Myron, answer this question. Do you hit the 10s with logical conversation, or emotionally charged questions or statements?
Yeah, man. So a little bit on me, guys. I'm in Miami, man. So I'm like around the hottest girls in the world, man, pretty much. And the thing is that I always go off of depending on the girl, right? So if it's a younger girl in her early 20s, you got to stimulate the emotions, man. And in general, you got to stimulate the emotions. But the older she is, the more life experience, the little bit more I could say you could speak to different topics. But in general, you're always keeping the conversations emotionally charged to some degree where you're spiking her emotions. Because at the end of the day, guys, girls just want to have fun. And a big part of having fun is feeling fun. And that's got to come from you, because here's the reality. If you're on a date with a girl and she's having a bad time, she could be a dud. She could be the reason the date sucks. She could like not be able to have a good conversation. She could have limited life experience. She could be boring as fuck. But she's going to look at you and say you're boring if she's not having fun. She's not going to look back and say, oh, it's me. I probably suck. No, that just goes into their innate solipsism. So that's just not the way it works. So you have to be the fun guy. And how would you do that? You got to have experience. You got to lead the conversation. You got to be a masculine male, etc. So I would say the older she is, the more you could touch to like other life experiences and stuff like that. The younger she is, on general, you're going to want to keep it to her level of where she is. And unfortunately, the hottest girls are in their early 20s. So you got to have like a certain amount of conversation at that level. And the other thing too, you skipped me, Donovan, but now I was going to say earlier, real quick, the three things that guys got to understand when you deal with like the hottest girls. And when I say the hottest girls, I'm talking about your models, your bartenders that are, that basically got hired for the way they look. Any girl that makes money off of that monetizes the way she looks, there's some three things you guys got to understand. Number one, you can't let her think that she's better than you. Just like Lucario was saying, you can't pedestalize her, because she's immediately going to think, okay, this guy is scared to lose me, therefore he is low value and I am higher value, and then boom, you're done, off rip. And then number two and number three, which a lot of guys can't part with, which a lot of people won't admit, is you got to understand she belongs to the streets. And you're not going to be able to retain her, probably, more than likely, because the hottest girls, right, are getting the top athletes, millionaires, etc., hitting on them all day. And no matter how much game you have, at some point you have to be willing to lose her, because that's inherently going to make you more attractive, because you're not going to be dependent on the outcome of the relationship. You know what I'm saying? And she's going to respect you more for it. So when these simps up, which they will, because these rich guys and celebrities are simps, because they always lead with their wallet, just like Kevin was talking about earlier. They have nothing else to bring to the table except for like, look at my clout or look at my money or all this other shit. That when they fuck up, then she'll come back to you. But you got to be content with the fact that there's going to go months where she won't talk to you, or she'll forget about you, or you might lose her altogether. But you not giving a fuck is going to make you more attractive, and that comes from that mindset that she belongs to the streets, and you have to accept that. And another thing too, Lucari talked about this too. When you're out with your girl, dudes are going to hit on her. So you can't be on some beta male shit, getting mad. So what the fuck, and willing to fight everybody, because you're going to be in fist fights all fucking day, because people will always hit on your girl when she's hot. And sometimes right in front of you if she's bad enough. So that's another thing that comes with the territory that a lot of guys are not willing to accept. So that's my little take on it.
Right.
Listen, Myron, you're spot on. Listen, there's a price for everything. Okay, if you want to look like Myron, the price is you got to drink 3 gallons of water a day and you got to live in the gym. That's the price you got to pay. If you want to be a content creator like us, the price you pay is you're never going to be able to have a W-2 paying job in the United States for the rest of your life. That's the price you got to pay. If you want to date hot girls, if you want to hot girls, if you want hot girls on your arm, dudes are going to try to get at her. And if you're that dude who's always getting mad at dudes sitting on your girl, this is not going to be for you. Avid Hiker with the $10 super chat says Lucario is spot on. I told the gorgeous nurse she won't get help from me because she's pretty. I left her standing. She was shocked. Next time around, she was very flirty and a bit nervous. It works. What are your thoughts on that, Lucario? He was actually talking about your comment on hot girls. What do you think? What do you think, I guess, was the biggest factor in this guy's situation with this hot nurse?
Right. The thing mainly is just what guys got to understand is about standing out and having her feel something. So even the guy that was asking a question and Myron was correct about like that emotion is that you got to have those conversations and interactions that spark emotion, because that's what makes women attracted to you. This is why I tell guys that, a woman will like a guy because he's good looking, because he looks good and all that other shit. But at the same time, though, one of the main things that make you stick out, you understand what I'm saying, is she remembers how you made her feel. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when you spark that emotion, that's what gets her to think about you, to notice you, to want to even engage with you. Because you got to understand something. As much attention as women get, and especially the hotter girls, they get all this attention. But most of the guys that get attention from, maybe 90% of the guys that get attention from, are guys that they're not interested in anyway. So understand that women have options on the front end, but when you peel down the layers, they don't have that much options as much as you think, meaning they don't have any men that they find desirable. So if you become that desirable guy, that's where she's going to hone in and try to grasp you and keep popping. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense. I've never thought of it that way.
Right.
We think that hot girls can get any man they want, but just because they can get any man they want doesn't necessarily mean there's somebody on their radar. We don't talk about girls. There's always somebody waiting in the wings. That may be true, but for 5, 6s, and 7s, of course, there's always somebody waiting in the wings. They're 5, 6s, and 7s. 10s have a much higher standard. The 10s always have very, very small rotations because most men are afraid to step to and talk to 10s, number one. Number two, you just don't meet the standards of 10s.
No, that's facts. That's facts, man.
Jap, talk to
They have a smaller rotation because they get more out of each person.
There you go. A 10's return on investment is always so much higher.